So I know quite a number of people are always interested in fuel economy when they are looking for a Peugeot vehicle to buy or any vehicle they want to buy. Yeah, most times it's like their first priority. But I want to. This video is just to inform such people that there is more to car than just fuel economy or how much fuel the car consumes. It's most times when I see people do that, I'll be like, okay, maybe this is first car experience. Um, it's not just that type that probably may understand. Not everybody is that into cars. You just want mobility, something move the one from one point to the other. So it's understandable, but when you get into cars and you get a point, you realize that no, there is more to cars than just how little can the car consume, you know. But I know right now that is the norm, not just about those of us here in the third world country. I'm talking about the entire world. Everybody is focusing on what consume less, but then it's still the quality of life hasn't improved or better per se, because you see a lot of people getting so bored in life and so many things, because they're all trying to look for the least to, I don't know how to put it. So my point is, sometimes just because Mr. A says this car consumes more. Okay, let's not talk about car now. Let's say you want a particular Peugeot model, like Peugeot 406, 307, 508 or thereabout. And one is telling you that this particular 406 with this engine consumes more fuel than the other. So everybody should go for the one that consumes the least. If you just buy everything just like that and believe that that is the normal thing to do, to go for the one that consumes the least. During your ownership, most down the line, you start realizing it may not hit you at that time, but you get a point, you realize, there are some things you find that the car is not providing, or you're not satisfied as much as you think you would before you made that purchase. That you'll be satisfied as of, there are so many things you might not consider them then, but later you now start thinking, um, for example, these consumptions people talk about, the difference sometimes can be so significant that you probably something you can afford without even a blink. But because everybody is saying they consume the least, you just jump in. Like I was saying, for giving you the example I wanted to say earlier, uh, like 500 kilometers. Let's say just pick any Peugeot model that have different engine sizes. Let's assume the one that has 1.6 or 2.0 or then 2.2. So let's assume the one with 1.6 or 1.8 will take you about okay, let's just say the difference between the one of 1.6 and the one of 2.0 or 2.2 might be maybe between 5 to 10 liters on a 500 kilometers long distance drive. And this, if you put it in terms of money, you are looking at, I don't know, between 1,000 to 1,000 plus mass. It could be less, 1,000. I'm just saying maximum, So, and these kilometers, I don't want to use the city drive, because city drive, a lot of factors can determine how the car consumes fuel. How you drive on higher speed, no, on lower speed all the time, you doing brake and there are so many factors that can make your car consume more fuel than even the one with more powerful engine of the same car model in the city drive. So I don't want to get into that because that one is it will take more time. But on the highway, it's expected, you maintain average speed. Let's assume give it two vehicle speed like 110 kilometers per hour max on the journey, and the car, both cars in good condition, and no added load or weight to the vehicle aside the driver. So yeah, the one with a bigger engine of the same car model might consume, the difference might be just between 5, it might not even be up to 5, but let's just, I'm saying, you know maximum 5 to 10, with both with AC running, 5 to 10 liters. So what I've now asked is, are you saying if you spend additional, for example, from Abuja to Kaduna and back to Abuja, just to and fro, that this journey, if you spend additional 1,500 on the one with 2.0 liter engine instead of the one with 1.6 liter, that will take less than that, that is too much for you? I mean, if it's too much for you, that's where you may eventually start finding it difficult during the ownership, as months starts to go by or thousands of kilometers start climbing on the vehicle. You start to understand that fuel consumption, yes, but when it comes to car maintenance or keeping the car on the road, you realize that you spend money not just on fuel. So if you can't afford that additional 1,500, you realize that, I mean, you might not be able to afford to maintain that car. I'm just being straight. If that kind of small, insignificant amount is too much for you that you have to use it as a yardstick, or or, or a standard for whatever car you are buying, then you realize you probably the car might not be the best for you, because if you can't, if that 500 kilometer, that small figure is too much. I mean, so what do you then do when the time for timing belt comes? So in that case, you start saying, oh, why, instead of buying the quality one cost this high, I'll rather buy the one that costs half the money, or even just 5% of the higher, the quality one. That's the one you buy. Then a few months down the line, you start complaining that this car is not good, is always damaging your engine, because your belt is keep cutting. So it's not the vehicle's fault or the brand fault. You now come to the engine oil. Why buy because since you are spending this significant amount too difficult or too much for you, then buying quality recommended oil will be a problem, because there's always something cheaper to spend on use on the vehicle, even if it end up damaging the engine, but at least it's cheaper. We still go, I mean, the brake pass comes, you rather buy the quality one, you start looking for the one that could damage the brake disc, because it's much more cheaper. Same thing goes, what else? I mean, do you know that so many, like I say, it all depends on experience or what you gather as as you step into car ownership. You could be driving, and all of a sudden your fuel pump packs up. What do? Your tires will wear out at some point. Your alternator could just wake up one morning and fail. These are things you don't even expect, and you are not expecting. As in, it's not like they give you sign, or maybe they give sign, but are not knowledgeable enough to pick those signs. And you are in a journey, or even in the city, and they just pack up. You may park out somewhere, you may have to tow the vehicle. I mean, car ownership is not spendless investment. It's something you invest in and you keep spending. You keep spending. I'm not saying you have to keep spending more for service investment, but you have to keep spending because they wear out. So you realize that small thing looking at. It's not really the main thing you should be focusing on. It's how much can it cost you, or can the vehicle cost to maintain generally, not just on fuel consumption. Because you might be thinking that that's one with smaller engine might end up costing more in maintenance than the one of bigger engine. For example, the one of the bigger engines, most times the engine itself, depending some parts on the engine do outlast the one of the smaller engines. Give you an example. People, those of us who use V6 will tell you, I mean, you only change the V6 timing belt just to fulfill all righteousness, or to have peace of mind, just to do the right thing. Not necessarily because it will cut. It might cut, but like I said, it's going to be like a one-off thing, or it's going to be like once in a while thing that, oh, that you had that this your VC, someone's VC engine timing belt cut because they hardly cut. Yet their qualities, the quality of the timing belt in this V6 engine, I'm talking about ES engine, is the same in the lower engine or the smaller engines, like the EW or TU engines. Same quality material, yet the one in the V6 lasts longer. Because the bigger engine, they work less, they stress less, or they absorb stress much better than the smaller ones. So in the smaller ones, you spend more in changing the timing belt because you have to reduce the duration. The duration is reduced than the ones with bigger. I'm not saying that justifies buying a V6 or this thing because you take a while before you change, or you spend less on changing the timing belt, or at least I want you to understand that sometimes it's not just because the engine is smaller doesn't mean you spend less on it, servicing or keeping that engine in good condition. So don't always focus on fuel consumption. You might be wondering, okay, but I can do without that. But then once into this thing, you realize that once in a while, you want to have some fun. Anybody telling you it's bad to push your car a little can go and fuck himself. I always say that I don't care. Don't care what people say when it comes to that. If you are too scared of speed, that doesn't mean you have to limit someone else. I don't know how to put it. People always want to use their destiny, get into power, and use it to hinder. And once in a while, you may want to catch some fun. Not necessarily go beyond the recommended speed limit on the road. But maybe you just want to push it, let it get up much faster from the standstill before it gets to that speed limit. And then you see the car will dull on you. It will dull out. You look like, so you probably may not have, feel sad at that time. Is it really the best you would have gone for? Bigger engine doesn't necessarily mean you'll be speeding all the time. Bigger engine means you can actually do the same speed without even stressing the engine that much. The same speed as you recommend, or the legal speed, without much stress. If you do a journey with a V6 or something similar, 2.2, that you don't actually accelerate that much to maintain 100 or 110 kilometers per hour. You barely accelerate. Unlike those lower ones, like you really have to push the engine, a little bit further down, the accelerator the throttle pedal further down for engine to actually maintain that get up to there and maintain that speed. Unless like the forced inductions, or like turbocharger, supercharged ones. In that case, those ones, their internal components inside the engine are forged, sort of, to be able to handle that high stress. So, and even if you don't accelerate it that much, remember there's an artificial thing attached to the engine that will now take up the work of the engine that it's supposed to do. So in that case, probably don't need to push it harder. So if If you want to get a smaller one, if you are looking at fuel consumption, and in that case, you think in that case the smaller ones may will give you much better service on that. Yes, but on a side, don't start expecting what it will not serve. It doesn't have, because that's where most people make mistake. They will do it the next day. They enter a space. I want to be James Bond, and then the next day the engine is gone, because they are not designed for you to push them that hard. If you want to gain up to 120 or 160 kilometers or such fuel economy engine, or engine made not that powerful, you have to let the engine come up, get the vehicle to come up there when the engine can afford to do it without damaging or stressing the engine. Press the throttle, leave it, let it get it up there gradually. Stop looking at other ones that are moving their own much quicker. You chose different, you chose fuel economy over there, so stop expecting yours to. If you push yours like there, your engine will not last. So back to this video is for. Fuel consumption, it's good to get one that consumes less, but there is more to that when it comes to as time start going into that ownership of that car, you realize that, I mean, this additional 500 or 1,000 naira I will spend fueling this one that is a little bit bigger, or that has a bigger engine than the other, is something not that bad, something that will not drain your wallet. So if you are not into all those stuff and you just want a car that will move, then your focus shouldn't be just on fuel economy. Just what you should be looking out for, what car will serve you well. Other things, there are so many things, so many aspects of the vehicle you have to put into consideration, not just fuel. But then there are cases where the one that consumes the least should matter more than every other thing. If you are getting a car for commercial purposes, for city use, for taxi, Uber, Bolt, or whatever, inside city or stuff like that, yeah, the one that consumes the least, smaller engine should serve in this case. But if you want the one that will be doing going out of the state, doing some journeys for commercial purpose, I will prefer bigger engine for that. Bigger engine for that. It's not about speeding the vehicle. There are so many factors that you have to put into consideration. The bigger engine will serve you much better on highway than the smaller one. The only time the smaller one will be able to serve is we don't push it hard. If the big one can effortlessly get to 130 kilometers per hour, that smaller one, if I were you, I will even go beyond 110. If you use it constantly, do not go beyond 110 kilometers per hour on that journey. It's only maybe you do the journey, maybe if you are maybe for a private use, you buy the car, and once in a while, maybe once in a few months, you travel with the car. Fine, such cases you might go beyond that normal 100 kilometers per hour. It's not something you do, but constantly, no. You don't want that engine to fail sooner than you expect. Don't go beyond 110. That's why it's naturally aspirated, So, I don't know. Because I know people always make this mistake. They always contact me and the first thing they always say, well, I want the one that doesn't consume fuel. I don't even understand what that means. Because, for the best of my knowledge, EW12, EV6, ES engine, they don't consume fuel. So I don't know. We always say they consume. They don't. Just because there's another one that consumes less than that one doesn't mean they are fuel guzzlers. They don't. No car is actually produced to guzzle fuel. They are produced to serve different purposes. That's why the power of the engine or size of the engine will not determine which one you want. But whether it consumes for more than the purpose that it's meant to do, no, they don't. But the only thing is when there is a problem on the system, the engine, the engine management system, or what controls the engine, yeah, the fuel consumption will go up, irrespective of the size or power of the engine. Even if it's 1.1, 1.2, 1.6, if there's a problem on that vehicle, It has to do with the fueling of the engine. The fuel consumption will shoot up. Doesn't matter whether it's V6 or a four cylinder. So fix your car and then enjoy the distance. My advice also is if you are into if you are searching for a car, maybe just do if you can test drive some of these cars. Like if your interest is maybe what will I say, um 307, 406. If you see one of 1.8 or 1.6, test drive it. If you see the one of 2.0, test drive it. The only problem now is two of them, you can't tell unless you have that, your knowledge is good enough to detect one that has an injection issue or stuff like that. You won't be able to know how good their systems are. But if let's assume their systems are good enough to give the car the factory fuel consumption, drive the vehicle, see how the one with smaller engine consumes, and then the one with higher engine consumes. So see if the difference is it that much. In that case, you could decide when you start a vehicle, you could see where the fuel gauge is. You buy maybe just 10 liters, put it, drive it a few kilometers if the seller will allow you. See how it behaves. Do the same thing on the distance. Now, before you make up your mind, don't just jump on what people are saying online, you know, because they are not you. You might be the type that eventually will want something fast. Like I said, being fast doesn't mean you always be breaking the legal speed limit. No, it might be that you want at least to get to that speed limit. You want it to get it there much quicker than the one that will take eternity to get there. So and that in that case, that you can actually afford spending that little amount than listening to people that don't really care if even if it takes them eternity to get to that speed, as long as they spend less on fueling the car. So do your own this thing before you make the purchase. So yes, there is more to vehicle ownership than just how much little does the car consume. So put that in mind.